that Ananias arrived at Judas's house and he laid hands on Brother Saul. And when he laid hands on Brother Saul, the Bible tells us that God filled Saul with the gift of the Holy Ghost. Glory be to God. And when Saul received the gift of the Holy Ghost, that's when the unusual season in Paul's life began to take place in his life. And it was at that pivotal moment in the life of Paul that everything changed in his life. His name changed. His game changed. He was no longer a persecutor of the saints, but now he himself was a believer of Jesus the Christ. And now that he had the Holy Ghost, he now went from having government power to now operating in unusual power. And that's now what makes Acts 19 so exciting to me, is that if you have the Holy Ghost, and I got to take a little census check here to find out who I'm working with. I want every Holy Ghost filled believer, those that know from the crown of your head down to the tips of your toenail that God has filled you with his Spirit, just to rest up on your feet. I ain't trying to shame nobody. I'm just trying to see what I'm working with, because every Holy Ghost filled believer in here, you've got unusual power in you. You have unusual authority in you. You're more than your natural last name. You're more than your DNA. You're greater than your gender. You're more important than the degree that you earned. You're more reputable than where you live. You're more valuable than how much money you make. But greater, glory be to God, lies on the inside of you. And if you've got the Holy Ghost in you, then there ought to be some unusual things happening in your life. You ought to have raised some dead by now. Them dead things in your life, you should have raised them up by now. Those sick things in your life, you should have healed them by now. Those broken things in your life, you should have restored it by now. You ought to shake somebody's hand and tell them this is the season where the unusual begins. This is the season where I'm going to see life not through natural eyes, but through the eyes of the Holy Ghost. Glory be to God. This is the season that when I walk into a room, every demon will be trembling and every devil will be destroyed because I got the Holy Ghost. This is the season where I'm not walking in fear, but I'm walking in boldness. Stop biting your tongue and say what God has told you to say. Stop hiding your hands, but use those hands to touch every afflicted body, to open every locked door, to lock every open door. You've got the Holy Ghost. You've got the authority to make sure your children don't end up on drugs, don't end up in a gang. You've got the Holy Ghost to make sure your family doesn't get divorced, doesn't get separated, doesn't get divided. You got the Holy Ghost to speak healing over diabetes, healing over cancer, healing over high blood pressure. You got the Holy Ghost to look at your finances and speak increase. You've got the Holy Ghost to stand against the enemy. And when you've got the Holy Ghost, you've got unusual power. The Holy Ghost power that'll cause devils to walk out of your life. You've got the Holy Ghost. And if you got the Holy Ghost, you ought to be able to walk on water. You ought to be able to raise the dead. You ought to be able to do the unusual. Ghost power. That's what you got to walk in. We're walking as if we don't know what we possess. This is the season of unusual things. Not normal stuff. Not run-of-the-mill mundane. Unusual. I can't die unless I see some dead raised. I want to see it. I can't die until I see somebody coming here with blinded eyes, a walking stick, even a seeing dog, but leave here with 20/20 vision. I can't die until somebody walks in here with cancer, AIDS, sugar diabetes, and see the elders lay hands on them and sicknesses dry up. We've got the Holy Ghost. You've got power that when you speak, something's got to happen. And what we got to understand is our Holy Ghost power trumps the power of the devil. It outweighs his authority. So if you've got the Holy Ghost, how dare you say the devil got the victory? Whenever the enemy comes up against you and you know you got power, you've got power to resist him. I'm not telling you he's not going to try you, but he's going to prevail. Even, and I'm through, even at your weakest point, you're still stronger than the devil at his strongest point. Jesus had finished 40 days of fasting. And the word says he was led into the wilderness. And there the tempter came and took him up to a high pinnacle and said, if you worship me, I'll give you all this. He knew he was hungry physically at his weakest point. He said, if you bow down and serve me, I'll give you bread to eat. But every attempt to destroy Jesus, Jesus used power and resisted the temptation of the devil and finally said, I had enough talking to you. Get out of here. Get behind me. What that reveals to us is a twofold message. Number one, you can talk to the devil and still beat him. But when you get tired of talking, you have the authority to dismiss him. You don't leave, make him leave. What? How are you the authoritative figure and you're allowing someone who's inferior to you tell you what to do? That's like a child telling a parent, you go to bed. I'm staying up. And you, who are the authoritative figure in the house, tell the child, okay. You have the power. You have the authority. You've got the authority to stand in your living room and tell everybody in your house, lights off. Go to bed. You have the authority. And that's what we must realize. In order to see the unusual, we must operate in unusual faith, believing that anything